We've reached the final video in my 4-part series on getting CyberPanel set up on a VPS with valid SSL and a secure email server. In part 1, we reinstalled the operating system on our virtual private server, had a brief overview of CyberPanel and its automated Let's Encrypt SSL renewal method, and finally discussed glue records with our domain registrar. In part 2, the focus was on allowing secure, non-root access to the server, updating the operating system, and installing CyberPanel. Part 3 got some initial configuration tasks completed, including configuring and verifying DNS, and securing and verifying secure email. In this final video, we'll be cleaning up access to the CyberPanel admin page and getting rid of the need to use port 8090. As a bonus, we'll install a dark mode style for the UI and do a WordPress installation. Let's finish up our configuration. All right, so if we take a look up at our URL for our CyberPanel, we're still sitting here at the IP address and we're using port 8090. This isn't super user-friendly. So let's do a couple things here. Number one, let's change so that we're not using the IP address. We'll create a new website for this. And we will call it, let's call it Admin Panel. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll call it Admin Panel. All right, again, we'll do default. We'll set the owner as admin. Domain name is going to be adminpanel.mylab.page. And the email, again, we will just send that to my Gmail account. PHP, if we don't set a PHP version, then this thing's not going to allow us to continue on. Now, since we're not planning on actually running scripts or doing any user-based content here, we just need SSL, and I guess it wouldn't hurt to create the open baster protection since, we are installing PHP. So we'll go ahead and create. We don't need DKIM support because we're not running the mail server at this URL. All right, we'll give that a moment to get set up. While that's setting up, we did create a page earlier, right? We created mylab.page. So let's see if that website is up. Look at that. So the website is up. It shows the default index.html file here saying CyberPanel is installed. And if we take a look at the little lock, we can see the connection is secure. So if we click our little certificate, we can see Let's Encrypt is the organization, and we are good through March of 2022. So we've got our 90-day SSL valid certificate here for our homepage. Excellent. Okay, it looks like our admin panel page is ready for us. So we'll go back. So let's also check this one. Let's copy that. And we'll go to that page. Okay, great, that's installed. All right, and we can see that it has a valid certificate there. But we want to use this for the admin panel, right? So that's not what we want to see. We actually want to see what's here. But hey, wait a minute. This is not using the SSL certificate. Why is that? That's because it's running on a different port. So if we want to install our SSL certificate on port 8090, there's a slightly different task that we need to do. Come down here under SSL and hostname SSL. This one you only want to assign to one of your websites. So pick a website, an FQDN, that you want to use for accessing your CyberPanel management and your email. And in our case, it's adminpanel.mylab.page, and we're going to issue an SSL certificate. So again, it's going to check to see whether or not it already has an SSL certificate for this particular FQDN. If it does, it's going to map that SSL certificate to the port 8090 on the CyberPanel server. So it has been issued and configured. So let's try this again here. I held down Shift and I hit the refresh, so we can see that this is coming up. So this is already an improvement. This is great. Now we could finish here, but do we really want to use port 8090 all the time? I mean, I'm not really a fan of having to go with these off-the-wall ports for things, especially if you're going to have other people accessing the system, or if you've got customers that are going to be accessing it. I mean, it could be better if you want to be a little more security-minded, but I like the convenience of just using port 443. Now, it did take a little digging around to get this figured out, but there is a configuration that you can do to get this set up. So let's take a look at how we go about doing that. In order to make that particular change, we will need to get back on our server via SSH. So let's do that. All right, I am connected in, and we need to edit one of the configuration files and put in an external processor. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Sudo. Okay, so here's the command that we're going to type. Sudo vi. If you're not comfortable with vi, feel free to use nano. I've gotten to know the most basic commands in vi, so I just go ahead and just use that. /usr/locals/lsws/conf/config.conf. All right, so I'm going to hold down the J button or the down arrow, and I'm going to go all the way down here until I can see one of the existing ext processors. So let's keep going. Oh, here we go. ext processor for the LSPHP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit I to change to insert mode. And I'm going to hit enter 2 times and then hit my up arrow. And I'm going to copy in and paste some text here. And paste. All right. So what we're doing here is we're creating an external processor called CyberPanel. The type is proxy, and we are going to direct traffic to the fully qualified domain name that we see over here. So we've got our SSL certificate issued, things are good, it's secure, that's going. We're doing 100 maximum connections, that should be fine. This is a small server, we're not running a major enterprise here. We've got some keep alive, some initial timeouts, some retry timeouts, and some response buffer. So that's all good there. We hit escape to exit the insert mode, and we'll do a :X to write and exit the file. All right, so we're close, but we're not quite done yet. We have one more thing that we need to do, and that is we need to go to our admin panel website. So let's go back to that right now. Go to websites, list websites. All right, so we've got our admin panel.mylab.page. We want to do manage. And we scroll down to the configuration section under rewrite rules. And we can just click on this drop down here, and let's just use a template to force HTTP to HTTPS. We can clean up this cat command here. We don't need that. And at the bottom, we will paste in our rewrite rule. So we're just saying for any traffic that comes to this FQDN, we want to redirect it to our external processor. So let's save the rewrite rules. Okay, configuration is saved. So we'll go back over to our other tab here. We will get rid of port 8090. We'll hit enter. Okay, that's loading up. I'm going to hold shift and hit enter to make sure that we're not caching anything. Okay, this is looking good. I don't have to enter port 8090 anymore. So if I log into my CyberPanel admin, sign in, look at that. We are logged in without using port 8090. And if we wanted to access our webmail, we can do that as well. Oh, right, that's under email here, access webmail. And look at this, beautiful, right? No funky off the wall port there of 8090. So this is good. Now that we've validated that we can access our CyberPanel config page as well as our email without using port 8090, we can go in and block port 8090. So let's go ahead and turn that port off in the firewall. So this is simply going to prevent anybody from trying to access port 8090 directly from the internet. So we see here under the firewall, we have the panel, all addresses on port 8090. So we're just going to delete that entry. Okay, that's gone. Now, I don't know whether or not you caught it in the summary, but another port that got opened up here is port 7080. But if we look at the firewall, the rules that are shown here do not show port 7080. It is open though, and we can validate that. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's go to port 7080. This could be handy if you need to access and configure your Open Lightspeed stuff, but for the most part, once you have your settings configured, you should be able to go ahead and turn off port 7080 without having any adverse effects. If at any time in the future you need to access Open Lightspeed, you could always come back into your firewall and turn it back on. But wait a minute, how do we turn it off if it's not here in the first place? Well, we simply create a new rule called Lightspeed config, and the protocol is TCP. Like it's open for everything, and it's port 7080. So we're going to add just so that it shows up in the database and we can manage it from here. So now when we delete this, it should go ahead and actually delete the firewall rule that was allowing us access. So let's come over here, we'll hold down Shift and we'll hit that refresh. And look at that, we no longer have access to port 7080. So at this stage, the only ports open on our server are the ones that we really need to access stuff. Now, I don't plan on running FTP on my server, so I'm actually going to go ahead and turn that off. I have no intention of serving any FTP files. Anything that comes off this server is going to be over HTTPS, SCP, or through email. And we can see here we've got some FTP TLS ports here. We can delete those as well. And there they go. All right, now one additional port that is not showing here that we do know for a fact is open is port 22 for SSH. Now, 22, everybody knows that that's the default port for SSH, so it's a popular target for people to try brute forcing things, but we've already taken a couple precautions there. We've disabled root login, we've set it to where it's SSH public key authentication only, so we should be in pretty good shape there. You know, for a majority of the software that I use in the apps, I tend to go with dark mode. You know, my Visual Studio Code, Postman, most things I go with dark mode. Now, CyberPanel does not have any kind of a toggle up here. There's not a simple setting up here to change things into dark mode. But what they do offer is this design setting here. And I managed to find a community post where somebody provided a pretty decent CSS here that does a nice dark mode. So let's take a look at that here. Here we go. Ah, yes. So other than the flash of changing from screen to screen, for the most part, this is looking pretty nice. I like this. This is good. Alrighty, so most people that are setting up these self-hosted systems, yes, they want mail, they want a website, but they don't necessarily always know all of the necessary code to build up a website. So they go with something self-contained and easy to manage. And one of the most popular things out there for setting up websites would be, of course, WordPress. Now, WordPress on CyberPanel really shines because it does use the Open Lightspeed web server here. It's a pretty fast web server, and it has the necessary compatibility for like PHP and some of the Apache config stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we can get that set up here. And let's see, where do we do that? I think it's under List Websites. And we go to our root page here, Manage. And we scroll all the way down to the bottom. And we've got WordPress plus LS Cache, exactly what we want. So let's click on that. And before I click any further, let me just click back over here and we'll go to mylab.page and we'll see we've got the default index.html there. So let's call this mylab page blog. Okay, for the WordPress login user, we'll put in mylab admin. Yeah, let's do that. And for the password, we'll put in something that's easy to type. Email. At this point, we can use admin at mylab.page because that's a valid email address that we've verified. So path, where do we want to install WordPress? Well, we want WordPress to show up when we go to the root domain. We don't want to put it in a subdirectory, so we'll just leave this empty. Okay, so it's starting the installation. You see that there's a link up there for a stress test. That is some third-party service that opens up in a new tab. I'm not really going to do that. Okay, activated the cache plugin, successfully installed. All right, so let's come back over to our other tab here and hit refresh. And look at that, we have our blog. Excellent. Let's go to our WP admin. And we can log in as our, MyLab admin. There we go. Look at that. Let's change the theme to 2019. Okay, let's go to this one. Live preview. Activate and publish. Okay, we'll go out of there and we will visit the site in a new tab. And look at that, we've already changed the layout of our blog. Okay, so we are done with our WordPress installation. That's ready for theme customization, hiring in your web designer, getting your content people to start posting things. That's all set and ready. Now, I did see a couple other things that were available for the instant installs. And I want to talk about those for just a moment here before I get wrapped up. So if we scroll back down to the bottom, we've got Joomla. Now, Joomla, I ran that for a number of years, and it's a really nice content management system. I enjoyed it, massive community. But this one-click install, it didn't work for me. I'm going to try it again. I'm not expecting it to work, but let's check it. So we'll call it MyLab Joomla. And we will do the, we can't change the admin username, so we'll just leave that. Put in our password. Database prefix, we'll go ahead and use JM underscore. Oh, it doesn't let us change that either. It's just JM underscore. All right, for the path, we already have WordPress installed in the root. So we'll put /Joomla as the installation path. Now, I suspect that it's going to say that it's installed, but it'll likely have a big issue like the last 3 times I've tried this. And that is that it says that it's an incomplete install and you need to go visit some page to actually complete the installation, but then it doesn't really give you any information. So let's find out. Okay, it's almost done there. Successfully installed. All right, so it claims that we can go to this URL. And let's go ahead and try that. Okay, environment setup incomplete. So it doesn't give us a next, it doesn't give us a form to fill out to complete the environment setup. All it says is it gives us this more details button. And this goes to some documentation on setting up a local environment for Joomla 4. I'm sorry, when I see a one-click install, maybe I'm spoiled by cPanel and other things here. This just feels really unfinished to me. I'm not going to use CyberPanel for installing Joomla, that's for sure. Now, unfortunately, from what I've experienced so far, WordPress plus LS Cache is the only one of these that actually works. Joomla, well, you just saw what happened there. Magento, Mautic, PrestaShop, none of those worked for me. And I haven't tried doing the Git integration yet. So with that, I think we are done for this particular video and tutorial. I hope that you learned a considerable amount here. And if you haven't hit that like button and subscribe, please do. The more people I see hitting those, the more inspired I will be to create more of these videos with this level of detail. All right, thank you.